Hi, well done. My name is Dudu Silva, the initiator SNG or Nurturing Sustainable Generations Uganda. Last time we are talking about climate change, and I said I have my research that I conducted about climate action, and I said last time in our previous videos we are going to bring it and have a look at it. So I have it here with me. Now, this research, I did it for some organization known as a strategic group. They do research works, so I did it for them. But then I thought it can help us in addressing climate change, especially in developing countries. Here it goes. Now, my goal was climate concern or action, because we are talking about climate change. Now, this is to overcome climate change. Now, the goal is climate action, and the full statement of the goal is generate and develop necessary urgent measures to reduce climate change below 1.5 degrees C and its associated impacts on both nature and rural communities around the source around Uganda. I did it for Uganda, but it can apply to all African nations. Now, this goal has a proposed 8 number of targets, all of which uncover underlying issues brought about by climate change. The targets are stated as follows. Now, target number 1 to address climate change is to strive to keep global warming or global temperatures under 1.5 degrees C of pre-industrial levels and avoid its detrimental effects by achieving carbon neutrality. That is my target number. That was my target number 1. And we shall look at each and every target as indicated in my research. Now, target number 2 is develop and manage a citizen-centric recovery system from the COVID-19 pandemic and its related variants around the country. Develop and manage a citizen-centric recovery system from the COVID-19 pandemic and its related variants around the country. That is number 2. Number 3 is achieve mindset change through education and training of the present and future leaders in a circular economic thinking format or manner. Develop and manage a it is achieve mindset change through education and training of the present and future leaders in a circular economic thinking format. This is what SNG is doing. This is what NSG is doing. Nurturing Sustainable Generations. We want to achieve mindset change. And the leaders, we say the youths, are the major forefront for this movement. Now, number 4 is ensure that green stimulus money or green recovery money effectively does fund sustainable environmental projects and all enterprises, not polluting industries, neither projects. Now, this was for the country. They were doing some research for the development of the source of the Nile area into an international tourism destination center. That's why this one is national. Ensure that green stimulus money or green recovery money effectively does fund sustainable environmental projects and all enterprises, not polluting industries, neither projects. Number 5 is raise the need for more diverse groups of people or individuals or persons collaborating and all partnering together for environmental sustainability. Raise the need for more diverse groups of people, individuals or persons collaborating and all partnering together for environmental sustainability. My target number 6 is to influence and drive the need for businesses to redefine and reevaluate what innovation and all environmental sustainability means to them. because some businesses think that when they grow their businesses and make huge profits, that is growth. But here we are talking about sustainable growth. It is influence and drive the need for businesses to redefine and reevaluate what innovation and environmental sustainability means to them. Target number 7 was take into account the need to pay less taxes for cleaner energies versus dirtier fuels by avoiding overly optimistic technological determinism. Take into account the need to pay less taxes for cleaner energies versus dirtier fuels by avoiding overly optimistic technological determinism. That was goal number 7. Now our last goal was embracing and developing the climate smart agriculture concept in Uganda. Embracing and developing the climate smart agriculture concept in our nation. Or climate resilient agriculture concept. Among these are output-based targets, whereas others are means of achieving targets. Now, there is some introduction I made about climate action here and what will lead us to. Before we go to the targets one by one, there's some introduction I have. The United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, the UNFCCC, UNFCCC is the primary international intergovernmental forum for negotiating the global response to climate change. The decade between 2010 and 2019, 2010 and 2019 has the warmest decade in terms of global temperature rise recorded in history. It was Wu and Catherine who wrote this. Now, currently, climate change is affecting communities globally, and its impacts affect not only national economies but also lives and livelihoods, especially those in vulnerable conditions. And this was written by the World Bank report of 2019. Now, it says, this is my research now, and I say, by 2018, climate change continued to exacerbate the frequency of natural disasters such as massive wildfires, droughts, hurricanes, landslides or mass movements, and floods. This is according to the IPCC report, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change of 2019. Now, I continue and say, in periods between 2000 to 2018, the greenhouse gas emissions of developed countries in transition have declined to 6.5%. However, the emissions of developing countries are up by 43% in the same periods between 2000 and 2018 due to over-reliance on fossil fuels and or coal power as their major energy base than renewable or clean energy. If you read Goal 13 of climate action under the Sustainable Development Goals, you will find this. It says the periods between 2000 to 2018, the greenhouse gas emissions of developed countries in transition have declined to 6.5%. However, the emissions of developing countries are up by 43% in the same periods between 2000 to 2018 due to over-reliance on fossil fuels and or coal power as their major energy base than renewable or clean energy. Goal 13 or climate action of 2016. It will tell you more about this. Now, Uganda is experiencing significant impacts of climate change, which stems from changes in weather patterns, drop in water levels, and increased frequency of extreme weather events such as heavy precipitations or rainfalls, leading to mass movements. Mass movements, we talk about landslides, mudslides, land flows, or mass flows. All those ones, what is happening to our friends in Mbale, where I come from, Bududa, Kasese, Kapchora, all those districts, there are frequent landslides there. So and it is majorly because of this climate change, that is high precipitation, too much rainfall, of course coupled with some other human activities. The other is prolonged dry spells or seasons whose socio-economic impacts render communities vulnerable, and yet Uganda as a country lies within a relatively humid equatorial climate zone with large differences in rainfall patterns nationwide. This is according to the Uganda Climate Action Report of 2016. Now, I continue and say, my research, it continues and says, the rising temperatures and projected rainfall increase during dry seasons threaten key crops in the country's agriculture sector, such as coffee, rice, and maize. Threats to coffee production has a negative implication on the country's economy, as it entails as the crop entails one of Uganda's major exports. That there is a man called Kisa, and he said this in 2021. Now, roughly 75% of the population in the country lives in the rural areas, and most of these households report no significant buffers against climate stressors. According to the Irish Aid report of 2016, it says roughly 75% of the population in the country lives in the rural areas, and most of these households report no significant buffers against climate stressors. The Irish Aid report of 2016 says this. Now, unlike in the recent, where the country's manufacturing industry is fast growing, Uganda's greenhouse gas emissions were dominated by the agriculture sector, with 48% contribution. Enteric fermentation and inefficient animal waste management systems as the leading contributors. That is according to the Greenhouse Gas Effect Fact Sheet of 2015. The projected climatic changes by scientists in the country as of late involves The projected climatic changes by science in the country as of now, involves unpredictable increases and decreases in rainfall patterns, which we are seeing now, changing seasons. Now, sea level rise, Lake Victoria rising and displacing or flooding people's homes and killing crops on the banks of the rivers and the lake. Then temperature rise or global warming, and a reduction in the number of catchment areas. When we talk about catchment areas, we are talking about areas like swamps, we are talking about wetlands, plus other hydrological systems, say streams, rivers, lakes, and ponds. That is according to my research now. In our next video, we are going to talk about each of these targets one by one. I thank you for watching. Please watch the next video. Thank you.